People often ask how Katie's Closet started, more so where the idea came from. Even though Katie's Closet started after Katie's passing, the seed for Katie's Closet was planted months before. It was the fall of 2009 when I read an article in the Lowell Sun that chronicled the day of two Lowell High students from beginning to end. The two teens lived in what used to be Tent City, a homeless community located along the Merrimack River in Lowell. They woke up, had nothing for breakfast, no running water to wash themselves or brush their teeth, no clean clothes, and they walked to school. There, they received breakfast and lunch, kept their heads down in the hallway, attended class, and then walked back home at the end of the day. As someone who had lived in Lowell my whole life, I was shocked by what I read. To think that was happening in my city and I knew nothing about the homeless situation was embarrassing. The next day I went into work and discussed the article with several coworkers who were also very surprised. We all felt compelled to help, but first we needed to know more. I contacted the head social worker at Lowell High, Manny Batista, and arranged to meet him. Manny took the time to educate me about the plight of well over 100 students who were homeless. I learned what the term couch surfing meant and heard firsthand what it was like for these kids who literally had nothing. Manny showed me into a back room where there were several garbage bags on the floor, along with a rolling rack of clothes that were donated by teachers. This was where the homeless students shopped for clothing. After meeting with Manny, we rallied the troops at work and did a huge clothing drive. The most important focus of the clothing drive was to ensure we collected clothing that the students truly wanted to wear. This was key to boosting their self-esteem. As the holidays approached, Lowell High asked if we could help with another initiative to help homeless students. The goal was to collect gift cards to Market Basket and Target to give to these students so they could have something special for Christmas. So we began to collect gift cards from coworkers. During this time, Catie had experienced a catastrophic medical event, resulting in a 12-hour life-saving surgery. While in the cardiac ICU, the subject of the gift card collection came up, and I said to Catie, "Did you ever know anyone at school who was homeless?" And she answered, "Of course I did, Ma, but they just want to be like everybody else." Little did I know that conversation would be tucked away in my memory. Catie passed away 3 months later in March of 2010. She was a sophomore on the dean's list at Bridgewater State College. About a month later, Lowell High School approached our family and asked what we thought about starting a scholarship in her name. It was such a heartfelt gesture coming from the school where Catie felt free to be herself, but it just didn't feel right. Scholarships are wonderful, but they help a limited number of students. Also, I knew from experience that building a sustainable scholarship fund would be difficult. Catie was nurtured by amazing teachers at Lowell High, where her passion for writing was further ignited and took off. Catie loved to go to school. Whenever she was told that she would have a surgery, I would get a massive pit in my stomach, but her first question was always the same: when can I go back to school? Catie always felt lucky, an amazing feeling coming from someone who missed hundreds of days of schools and had over 40 surgeries in her lifetime. I remember one time when Catie was a junior in high school. It was fall and she was in color guard. We were eating dinner and she said, "I am so lucky." We all paused, waiting to see what she'd say next. And Catie said, "Mom, anytime I forget a book or something at home, I'm so lucky that I can call you to bring it to me." Today, a friend forgot her saber at home, and we had color guard practice after school. She had to take 3 buses to go back home to get it and then come back. By the time she made it back, practice was almost over. This wasn't the only time Catie recognized that she was lucky. We would walk through the halls of cardiac ICU, and Catie would look and say, "Oh, Mom, look at that poor kid." Little did she know others would look at her and say the same. She just didn't feel that way. She saw and empathized with others' struggles, but didn't dwell on her own. One day in April of 2010, I was driving and an idea popped into my head. The thought of filling a closet with much needed clothes and toiletries for the kids at Lowell High who were homeless or couldn't afford the necessities they needed. Catie's Closet, a place where students could go to choose the things that they liked so they would feel good about themselves, so they would feel lucky too, just like Catie. A month later, the first Catie's Closet opened in Lowell High School as a tribute to a young lady who appreciated what she had, never dwelled on self-pity, and who recognized that others weren't quite as fortunate as she was. The closet was dedicated in Catie's memory in a school where she thrived and loved to go. It was meant to be a one-and-done tribute. Little did we know it was just the beginning.